As the cell door closes behind me, a feeling of relief hits my body, which I know is an unusual way to feel, but nonetheless, I know that I'm safer in here than I am out there. I've been in and out of jail a few times throughout my life, so I already know the ropes, and serving another sentence isn't a big deal to me. My cellmate greets me. "What's up? I'm Mac." "What's good? I'm Carlos." "What are you in for?" he asks, clearly sizing me up, trying to see if I'm new to this jail shit. I chuckle. It's a long story. "I got nothing but time," he says, while throwing his hands up, pointing to the walls surrounding us, insinuating that we're going to be here for a while. I lean up against the wall. Then boy, do I got a story for you. I can see I've got his attention now because he sits up straight on his bunk, probably thinking that's an odd response. Then I begin. I've been selling weed ever since I was a teenager living in Brooklyn. I started off as a corner boy and over the years made my way up the ranks. Now I oversee 8 other guys. Recently, my supplier got murdered, so now they've come looking to me to provide more product. These guys aren't just people I do business with. I consider them my friends. You could even say my brothers. I've known each of them for many years. I know their families, and their kids even call me uncle. So I couldn't let them down. I had to think of something. We had some product left, enough to last us the rest of the month, but demand was high and our stash was dwindling fast. But one thing I found out is that finding a supplier you can trust is more of a pain in the ass than I thought. And everyone that I'd met with so far was charging way too much for bud, so I was thinking that I could get the heavier stuff for around the same price and make more of a profit. My girlfriend started doing a little research and stumbled across the dark web, and she'd been pounding it in my head ever since. Apparently, it's super easy to purchase pills from there. A few people I know have even done it, so I was already seriously considering trying it. At least one time, just to see if things worked out, and if everything went according to plan, the product was top grade, and it's as easy as everyone says, then just maybe this could be the new way we do things. So later that night, when I met up with the rest of the guys at the warehouse to collect the day's earnings, I run my idea by them, and surprisingly, they encouraged me to give it a try. "Yeah, man, I think you should definitely check it out," Dante says. "But be careful. I heard some crazy shit goes down on the dark web," Antonio replies. I decide to take a vote, just to make sure we're all on the same page, and everyone but one person votes for it. So we make plans to meet up the next morning back at the warehouse so that I can distribute more product to the couple of guys who have run out already. Then I lock up the cash I've just collected in the safe, wait for everyone else to leave, and then lock up the warehouse and head home for the night. When I arrive at my condo, my girlfriend Haley is waiting up for me. She heats up my dinner and brings me a beer, then sits down with me while I eat. "So how'd it go tonight?" I brought up the dark web thing to the guys. "Oh yeah? What'd they think?" "Everyone except Trey thinks it's a good idea." "See, I told you," she says, bragging. I've got to give her credit. It was originally her idea, but instead I tell her, "We'll see if it works first." Once I finished eating, she pulls me toward the computer. "Come on, let's go check it out now." "Babe, I'm exhausted. I'll look into it more tomorrow." "You won't even have to do anything. Just sit there and watch. I'll do the rest." I give in rather quickly, which I've learned to do with her. If not, I already know I won't get any sleep. She'll just go on and on about it for the rest of the night. So I change out of my jeans and into some sweats and then get settled on a couch while she sits down at my desk and boots up the computer. She does some research on how to order something on the dark web. Then once she feels she has it down pat, she downloads a new web browser called Tor that is used to access the dark web. After that's installed and we open it, a search engine that looks similar to Google pops up called DuckDuckGo. First, we sign up for a secure email address. Then she types in what we're looking for, illegal drugs, and a list of sites pop up. Mac butts in. "Damn, that sounds like some new shit. I've been in here way too long. Is it really that easy to get drugs nowadays?" I let out a chuckle. "Yeah, I was just as surprised as you." Then I continue. So she scrolls down the page, clicking on a few random ones until she comes across one that appears to have what we're looking for. Then she proceeds to place an order. I warn her to only buy a small amount at first. I want to make sure I get what I'm paying for and that someone doesn't just end up stealing all my money. Then she gets an encryption code for the address to an abandoned warehouse nearby and types that in. After only a few seconds, she receives a message from the seller confirming that they've received all of our information, and then an alert telling us there's one final step flashes across the screen. Payment needed to complete order. She looks back at me. Did you remember to put that money on the prepaid card? Yeah, hold on, it's in my wallet, I tell her, as I walk back toward the bedroom. I return a moment later and hand it to her, and then she uses it to pay for the order. I'm not stupid enough to use my own personal credit card, so I had picked up a prepaid one. Who knows if it's a cop on the other side of the screen right now. Seconds later, we receive another message stating that the transaction was successful and my package should arrive in 3 days. Now all we had to do was wait. The next 3 days was nerve-wracking to say the least. I couldn't stop thinking about whether the package was really going to come or not. Then, on the third day, I send my boy Trey to drive past the abandoned warehouse to see if the package has arrived. He calls me with good news. It's there. So I tell him to take it and drop it off at my place. Haley calls me a short time later and asks if I want her to open it, but I tell her to wait until I get home. It could have been anything in there, and I didn't want her to have to deal with the aftermath alone if she opened it and it wasn't what we ordered. I didn't even want to imagine some of the things that those sickos on the other side of the screen were probably involved in. But when I finally got home and opened the box, I'm shocked to see that I actually got what I paid for. I knew the guys were going to be so relieved to hear that everything was going to be good again. I know they were starting to worry. Shit, I was too. After distributing the new product between the guys, the response we were getting back from the streets was pretty good. After only a couple days, we run out and I have to order more. Since Haley did it the first time and seems to understand everything pretty well, I give her the job of placing the orders for more product. She's more than happy to help. For a long time, I tried to keep her away from this part of my life, but recently, she'd gotten more involved. The next time we order more product, we buy it in a larger amount and get it delivered to 3 different addresses so that it doesn't seem suspicious. Business is as good as I thought it'd be. But then, things go sideways when the next time I have to order more product, Haley's out of town. I've watched her do it once, but I wasn't really paying that much attention. Definitely not enough to order more on my own. So I call her, and she tries to walk me through it over the phone. Her directions seem easy enough, so I quickly jot them down on a notepad lying on my desk. Then I thank her and tell her that I'll be there to pick her up from the airport when she lands on Friday afternoon. I follow the directions that she gave me, and they lead me to the same website that we previously used to purchase product from. Then I search for the seller's name, but every time I type it into the search bar, it says, "Name not found." I call Haley back and ask her if she's sure that was the right name she gave me. She says that she's positive, but that I can always check the box that it came in because she didn't have the chance to get rid of the last one before she went out of town. She informs me that it's still sitting in the pantry. So I take a look at it, and it does indeed have the same name she gave me. I thought it was a little strange. I figured maybe they stopped selling because they ran out of product themselves, or maybe they got caught by the police and their whole operation had been shut down. That's when I realized that I wrote the damn name down wrong. I was off by 1 letter. So I typed the proper way to spell the seller's name into the search bar, and this time when I press enter, it directs me to a totally different web page. Immediately, I attempt to exit out of it, but for some reason, I'm unable to. It has the little red X at the top right-hand side of the screen that usually when you click it, it'll allow you to either close whatever page you're currently viewing, or you can close all the tabs you have open. Suddenly, a list of random links appear. I scroll down the page and click on one of them. It takes me to some website with numerous services listed on it. I'm pretty sure it's the same one Haley ordered from before. It looks kind of like it. I needed more product ASAP. I knew there was no way I could wait until she got home in 3 more days. That's the day I needed it to be arriving, so I order it myself. 3 days later, I'm pissed when my shipment arrives and I see that it isn't what I paid for. They're not the same pills that Haley ordered last time. They're little red pills that have a black happy face with horns etched in the middle. I'm so furious, thinking I just took an L, but think maybe it's still good enough to sell. I just have to test it first. So after having one of my regulars try it for free, they tell me that it's the best shit they ever had. So I give it to my guys, and once they start selling it, word on the streets is that it's even better than the other pills we were selling. And not only that, they're saying that it's better than anything that the competition was selling too. And once I hear that, I make the decision to raise the price. The guys warn me that they don't think it's a good idea. They say that it's too early and that it may scare customers away. They argue that we should wait a few months so that it gives people time to get hooked on it. I understand what they're saying, but no one out there is selling the same pills we are. Everyone who got a hold of them was going to want more. I just knew it. And of course, it turned out that I was right. Friday afternoon, I head to the airport to pick Haley up. When we get back to the condo, she starts to unpack, but I tell her that I need her to order more product first. So as she cuts on the computer, I stand directly behind her, watching her every move. And I'm extremely baffled because everything she does is the same thing that I did when I attempted to order more product the other night. But no screen pops up directing her to the other site or anything like that. Once the next shipment arrives, it sells, but not like the red pills. The streets are fiending for more. So after that, I tell Haley to start ordering them from the same place that I had stumbled across. Early the next morning, I get a call from my boy Trey. He's out on the block and he says that the cops showed up and started questioning him and some of the other guys out there. Apparently, one of our regulars, a homeless lady who we call Miss Shelley, overdosed last night. I assure him, don't worry, they got no proof. Just stick to the script, don't say nothing, and act like you don't know nothing. The cops hang around, patrolling the block day and night for about a week, making it hard for my guys to work. Luckily, I have a few other spots that I know of that I can post them until the police presence dies down. Once it does, we sell off the rest of my last shipment rather quickly. The people are loving it. Word is spreading fast that the potency of our product is better than anybody else's out there. I have Haley place another order for triple the product this time, because not only is it in such high demand, but with the cops sniffing around, I figure it's probably a good idea to stay off the dark web for a while. Then slowly but surely, more and more of our clientele start dropping like flies. The police presence becomes rampant. You can't even walk down the block without seeing at least 3 squad cars stationed. Word on the street is that police are saying there's a new drug out there, causing all of these people to overdose. I make the decision to slow down distribution and only have my guys posted up on the corners a few hours every night. With the cops breathing down our necks, I split the extra product and stash it at my 2 warehouses. That way, if one of them gets raided, hopefully we'll have enough time to send someone over to the other location to grab the rest. Even though I can't say business is booming, I start to feel like things are finally getting back to normal again. Until Haley calls me one night when she gets home from work. Did you order something? What do you mean? There was a package sitting at our door when I got home. No, I didn't order anything. It probably got delivered to the wrong address, I tell her. No, it definitely has our condo number on it. But that's weird. What? It doesn't have a return address. Well, don't open it until I get home. Why not? Because I don't know what it is. She agrees to wait for me, and when I get home later that night and open the package, a feeling of dread consumes me. It's more product, but not only did Haley not purchase it, I never gave them my personal address. Before today, all of the packages containing product were always delivered to other locations. Immediately, I log onto the computer and check my messages from my supplier. There's a new one that says, "This one's on the house. Thanks for being our top-selling client." Don't get me wrong, I appreciate anything that's free, but I have nowhere to put it. Both of my warehouses are full since I had to slow things down. So I stashed the box in my bedroom closet under a pile of Haley's clothes. And that still doesn't explain how in the hell they got my real address. I message them back and ask, but never get a reply. Then a new box starts to arrive on my doorstep every single week. Each time I get a message with it thanking me for doing business with them or encouraging me to keep up the good work, and every time it's courtesy of my supplier. It's the weirdest shit I've ever seen. I mean, nobody gives away that much free product. Mac interjects, "Everybody knows ain't nothing in this world free." I reply, "Trust me, I soon find that out." I haven't been able to move it to the warehouse with the cops watching our every move, so I've been keeping it at my place and it's starting to stack up. The next night, I'm driving down one of the blocks that I've moved some of my guys to when I see Trey and pull over to talk to him. I need to ask him if he can keep some of the product at his place because it's getting to the point where we're tripping over boxes now. Just as I park and get out of the car, a junkie approaches me and grabs a hold of my arm. I shove him. "Get the hell away from me." That's when he looks up and our eyes meet. What I see causes me to start backing away toward my car. He looks like some kind of a freak, right out of a horror movie. His skin is covered with clusters of swollen boils, oozing red pus. Mac asks, "You mean blood?" I shake my head. "No, trust me, you could tell the difference." The pus had a gooey foam texture to it. It was the craziest shit I ever seen. And he's drooling. His tongue is hanging from the corner of his mouth like he just left the dentist and the effects of the Novocaine haven't worn off yet. And blood is seeping from the crevices of his eyes. He reaches out toward me, but I leap into my car and speed away before he has the chance to spread whatever the hell it is that he's got. I call Trey and ask him, "What the hell was that?" He tells me, "I've seen a couple of junkies out here walking around looking just like that. Probably symptoms of withdrawal. Once they get another pill, they're perfectly fine for a while." I tell him, "Nah, I don't think so. I've never seen no withdrawal symptoms like that." After that, all hell breaks loose. One of our warehouses gets raided, and all of the guys are too spooked to keep the rest of the product from the other warehouse, so I have to move it back to my place, which is already crowded. And then there's a breaking news report claiming that there are people walking around with the same symptoms as the man I saw the other night that looked almost like a zombie. Sources are saying that the pills my crew has been selling are the cause of these symptoms. None of it makes sense to me. I've never heard of any drug doing those things. Maybe killing a person, but not turning them into some kind of a freak. Haley forces me to go to a party with her, saying that it'll help me get my mind off of everything that's been happening lately. While we're there, I see her reach into her purse, pull out a pill, and shove it into her mouth. I pull her aside. "What in the hell are you doing?" "Will you relax? It's only one pill. I'm just trying to have some fun." "Since when do you need drugs to have fun?" "You have more than enough back at home. What's the big deal?" I don't bother arguing with her. I'm too pissed off, and this isn't the place to do it anyway, so I tell her that I'm going home. Then the next morning when I wake up, I realize that she never came home last night, which isn't like her. So immediately I call her cell phone, but it goes straight to voicemail. Just then, there's a knock at the door. I breathe a sigh of relief, thinking it must be Haley and maybe she just forgot her key. But when I answer, I'm shocked to see 2 police officers standing there, along with another box waiting on my doorstep. Instantly, I panic and start sweating bullets, thinking that they've come to arrest me because they found out what I've been doing, and the proof is sitting right there at their feet. But then they inform me that Haley is in the hospital. She overdosed at the party the night before on the same drug that's been killing all of the junkies around town. They ask me to follow them down to the station for questioning. "Is that necessary? I just found out my girlfriend could have died," I say, wiping tears from my eyes. "All right, but we want your statement by the end of the week." "Yeah, you'll get my statement, but from my lawyer, I think," as they walk away. Once they're gone, I grab the package and bring it inside, then sit down. I think to myself, now I know for sure that it has to be the pills that's been causing all of these deaths. I didn't want to believe it before, but there's no other explanation. Something in them is not only making them highly addictive, but all of the people we've been selling to have either ended up dying or are turning into whatever you want to call that man I saw the other night. I leap up and turn on the computer. I decide right then and there that I have to put an end to things now. I'm just going to have to go back to the old way of doing things before I get caught up and end up in jail. I message the supplier and tell them that I won't be doing business with them any longer and to stop sending me boxes full of product. I mean, with it almost taking my girlfriend's life, there was no way I could continue doing it. But then, instead of receiving a box every week, I start receiving one every single day. Trey keeps some of the product at his place, which helps out, but I want it all gone before the cops come knocking at my door again. A few days after Trey takes some of the product off of my hands, I receive a frantic call from my boy Dante. "The product that Trey was holding for you, it's all gone." "What do you mean? Did the police raid his place?" "No, not the police." "Then who?" "A bunch of strung out junkies. They followed him home and killed him. You're not gonna believe this. They ripped him apart and then started eating him. Then they robbed his place and took all the product." Just when I think my life can't possibly get any worse, the cops show up at my place with a warrant to search the premises as well as a warrant for my arrest. An officer places me in handcuffs, reads me my rights, and then starts to walk me out of my building heading to a squad car. I look around, seeing news helicopters flying above, recording the whole thing on live TV, and I hear a reporter talking about how they found the culprit who was the ringleader behind selling this new drug, and how I had an enormous amount stored in my condo, so much that the cops say they can't give an exact amount. The officer places me in the back seat of his car, and as he slams the door and walks away, I sit there thinking about how I'm going to spend the rest of my life in jail. I know I'm going to be charged with the count of murder for each junkie that died. The next thing I know, I hear growling, and then a massive crowd of people surround the car and my building. Then panic screams and gunshots flood the air. I duck down in the back seat, not really sure what's going on. Then they start climbing on top of the police car, and when I look out the window and see the pus-filled boils ready to burst at any second, the cloudy red drool streaming from their mouths, and the blood flowing from their ears, eyes, and noses, I finally realize what's going on. They slam their fists against the window enraged, but I know it's not me that they want. They've come for more pills, and these idiots just broadcasted it to everyone where they can find them. The cops are shooting, not even caring where the bullets are going. I lie down on my back and try to kick the side window out, but the next thing I know, I hear glass shattering, and one of the junkies comes crawling through the back window. I attempt to sit back up, but he leaps at me and attacks me before I get the chance. He tries to bite me, the red drool pulling at the corners of his mouth as his foul-smelling breath invades my nostrils. I headbutt him, causing one of his boils to pop and start oozing pus all over the back seat of the car. That's when I realize that I have a weapon, and luckily the cops handcuff me in the front instead of the back. I reach my arms around his neck and start to choke him out. As I wait for him to stop breathing, I glance down at the boil on his head and see steam rising from it. I can feel the warmth from the infection on my face. When his body finally goes limp, I crawl through the back window and look around to see that the whole city is going nuts. Thousands of people are running through the streets. Half of them are growling and look like the infected junkies, and then the other half are screaming and running for their lives. But once a human has been bitten, in only a matter of seconds, they turn into one of them freaks too. For a split second, I think maybe I should go back inside of my condo to hide, but then realize that's the first place they'll be. They're probably in there already. So I figure my next best option is going to my boy's crib who lives nearby. So I start walking. Everything is so chaotic, the cops don't even notice me. They're too busy shooting up everything. I make it to Dante Street in like 10 minutes, but as soon as I start walking up the block, I see that his place is all messed up. I get a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach. I just know that they got him. And the closer that I get, I see I'm right. There are still a few junkies sitting on his porch, eating his remains and slurping his blood from the ground. That's when I realize something. They're eating him because he must have taken some of the pills. It must still be in his bloodstream. That's when something else hits me, and I shout, "Oh shit, Haley!" I start running down the street searching for the nearest phone and find a kid sitting outside recording everything that's going on. I approach him and ask to use his phone real quick. Then I dial Haley's number, hoping that she picks up. After she was released from the hospital, she went straight to rehab for 30 days. Thankfully, she answers and I warn her that she's got to get out of there. I tell her that the pill she took at the club is still in her bloodstream, and that's what those things are looking for. "They're gonna come after you," I yell through the phone. Just then, I hear a door burst open, and her frantic, terrified screams flood my ear, and then the phone cuts off. I start to make my way there, but as soon as I make it to the street before the rehab center, I run into more of those freaks. And still being cuffed, I know that I can't do much, so I climb into a nearby dumpster. As they pass by, I lift the lid, only a crack so that I can peek out. They're sticking their noses high in the air, sniffing, like they can just smell the pills. So if there's anybody else out there who took them, who hasn't already changed into one of these things, I know that they're on their way to finish the job. But sitting on top of all the garbage in the dumpster, a bottle must have slipped and made a noise. One of them turns around and starts heading back toward the dumpster, growling. I close the lid as it approaches and start slamming its head up against it. And then a moment later, I hear a woman scream, "Oh my God, there are more of them down there." And then the growling gets quieter, and I assume it's gone, chasing after the woman that I heard. I peek my head back out, and when I see that they're gone, I climb out and continue on my way. But when I finally make it to the rehab center, the whole place is locked down by the cops. After walking around the building, I see that there's a window open in the basement. So I start running toward it, but just as I reach it and begin to climb in, I hear a click, and someone shouts, "Freeze! You thought you were going to get away? Look what you did to our city. Your ass is going to pay for this." So I never made it inside. I don't even know if Haley's dead or alive. Max stares at me in utter disbelief. Wow, that shit is crazy. I don't know what to say. But those red pills that you were talking about, the ones with the devil smiley face, I've seen some of the guys in here taking them. Oh shit, for real? Then I stare at him and ask, "You haven't taken any, have you?" "Only a couple," he replies as he scratches the boils on the back of his neck. Suddenly I hear the CO's screams and gunshots, followed by loud grunts and moans, as two thoughts cross my mind. I should have known better than to trust the crazies on the dark web. And I wish I would have just stuck to selling weed. Don't forget to subscribe for new stories weekly. See you next time on
Nina's Nightmares.
Really? You're supposed to click the like button, not me. Ugh.